Ready to go? Okay. Call the meeting to order. Start the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Armstrong. Here. Groves.
Here.
Fitzpatrick.
Temporarily on hold.
Patrick. Here. Randall.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Mayor Cramlett.
Here. Okay, additions or amendments to the agenda.
No changes, Your Honor.
Adoption of the consent agenda, which is approval of January 27, 2020, closed session minutes, approval of January 27, 2020 minutes, ratification of bills in the amount of $75,960.27. Got a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and second to accept the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
There he is. Let's turn him on.
Got her, Bruce. You're there, right, Bruce?
Hi, Bruce.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Aye.
There we go. Okay, public hearing,
None, Your Honor.
action items, appointment to committees. And all I see here is budget committee. Right there.
You had, in your packet, you had two for the Planning Commission, Butch Miller and Deanna Boostinker for one position. And then for Budget Committee, Brenda Wood would like to re-up and serve another term.
Okay, well, how many, so we have three of them, but there's.
We have three, two for the Planning Commission, but we only have one seat available because we appointed one last time.
Okay,
And we have two seats available on the Budget Committee, I think. Is it two?
How many?
okay, well, I would suggest, for my own end, I would suggest going with Brenda on here, and I think Butch has done, and I would suggest Butch on planning.
Your Honor.
Richard?
I concur with you on Brenda for the Budget Committee and Butch Miller for the Planning Commission, but I have a real issue with Deanna being on the Planning Commission. In fact, I vehemently oppose her being on that committee, and I
Well,
have many reasons.
we only have one position.
Yeah, so what I'm recommending is Butch on planning, I'm recommending Brenda on budget. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Good with that? Good with that? Good?
Okay.
Bruce, yeah, so we got Butch on planning and Brenda on budget then.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, approved resolution number 1428, adopting council goals of 2020, 2021.
This is a result of our goal planning session and talks. I did combine the contract crews for city projects under one goal rather than having three separate goals placed down ground lines in three different places. That's the only change I made from what we looked at before.
Got a motion?
I got a motion to approve resolution 1428, establishing the goals for the city government for the fiscal year of 2020-2021.
Second.
Okay, then move to second. Adopt resolution number 1428. Discussion. Do you want to say anything on that one, Bruce?
I think we already said it all, but thank you very much for the
Okay,
chance, but no.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good.
Opposed? Okay. appearance of interested citizens. Do we have citizens who want to come up and make remarks?
I do have one good announcement.
Well, come on up.
Well, not
You can do it. Tell us who you are.
Butch Miller, a
Thank you.
citizen. Tonight we had a troop of Girl Scouts have started meeting here in Cascade Locks in the church.
Oh, all right.
So hopefully we can get them some more members. They started out with 7. 5 of the girls are from Cascade Locks. 2 of them are from Hood River. The troop leader is a young lady named Jenna Miller, no relation. And she just recently moved here from Hood River. So she was looking for a place to host the Girl Scouts, and we offered the church. So
All right.
we now have a place for girls to spend some extra time.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Reports and presentation. City committees.
Just one tourism committee report. Debbie Fine stepped down as chair of the tourism committee, and Cameron LaFleur has stepped up as the chair. And that's in my staff report, but I wanted to give it in the committee.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the Hood River Reads proclamation and presentation.
We have Jean Harmon with us from Hood River County Library.
Right, I'm part of the Friends of the Library Committee, and I came 2 years ago, if any were on the board at that point, and last year it snowed, so you didn't get my face. So we have chosen books, and she's showing them up. I brought 2 books, and we do a share anyway with as many people who would like to read it. That's kind of how we do when we pass them out. We say, take it, then pass it on to anybody else, and we'll be bringing more books to your library to be shared, because we start on March 7th as our kickoff, and anybody's welcome to come, doing it at the library from 2 o'clock to 3:30. And you just get books free, and inside it says, please share, send them off to me. This book is about the environment, really, and it's about a young man who sneaks out of the house at night because he's really interested in the tidal areas, and so he takes his boat and goes out on the tidal things. And he ends up finding a huge giant squid, and the story goes around the things that he finds and the people he runs into, and people who think he's some kind of a seer, practically, which is kind of funny part, but it is, when Rachel Carson was talking about things about the sea around us and things of that sort, it takes that into consideration. What are we doing to our ocean, and what are we doing to Puget Sound? And so this man lives up in the Puget Sound area, and so he'll be down here visiting us in April, and the weekend of the 18th, he'll be here in the area. Now, if anybody likes to go to a writing workshop, you can sign up, or you can have your librarians let you know, because it'll be Saturday, and there's a sign-up fee, so there's only so many people. You can't have a writing workshop with eons of people. So as you probably, the proclamation is what I'm here for, obviously. It's in your packet, and being a former teacher, I don't believe in reading things to you that you can't read yourselves. So I hope you'll look at it. Yeah. Oh, and I hate it to be read to. Somebody read to us one time when we were taking the OLCC test. This man read all morning to the things to us, and by noontime we were like, we can read, would you mind? Anyway, this is fun for all of us, and the committee has been working. We start working right away once we've gone through and we finish our things in April, then we start looking for a book. And if any of you have any ideas, ever, see your librarian here and let us know, or come up to our library and let us know if you think there's a book that the community would like to enjoy. I think you'll enjoy this book. Jim Lynch writes a good story, and this young man is young, and he's coming of age in a sense, but he's got some issues that are interesting, and we all can look at what we're doing to our oceans. We have our waterway right here. We don't want to have things ruined right on the spot. So we will have a day when the author is here, on the weekend of April 18th, we will have him the Hood River Library. It's a Sunday afternoon, so he will present. So if anybody who would like to hear him and have read the book or not could come to that. That's open, to the public to see. So we're asking you to please read that proclamation and see if you'll vote that you will be on board and sign it. And we've asked Kate McBride, our new mayor, a former student in Hood River, to be the reader of it, to read the proclamation to open up the ceremony this time. We've had each of the different areas to come and do that. So, any questions? You've heard about it before, you know we exist, and we're happy to be here. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
And I know that you don't,
Go ahead.
I know you don't want to be read too, but I'm gonna have Gordon, I didn't bring my glasses with me.
Oh,
I'm gonna have Gordon read it,
you ready?
read it because it's more than just there. We've got people that they're watching this, so I think it'd be appropriate to read the proclamation.
Thank you.
It's a little blurry to me, so I'm gonna let you.
Proclamation of support for the 2020 Hood River County Reads Program, The Highest Tide by Jim Lynch. Whereas the Friends of the Hood River County Library have organized the Hood River County Reads Program to support reading books and discussing ideas among all members of our community. And whereas Hood River County Reads has been endorsed, supported, and financially assisted by local schools, businesses, and organizations, as well as the Hood River County Library Foundation, Starseed Foundation, Hood River County Education Foundation, Friends of the Hood River County Library, Hood River Cultural Trust, Gorge Community Foundation, and generous individuals. And whereas the City of Cascade Locks acknowledges the history and richness of our northwestern lands and people, and whereas the selection of Highest Tide by author Jim Lynch gives Cascade Locks the opportunity to know some of the history and experiences of those living and working in our magnificent Pacific Northwest, and whereas the author Jim Lynch visits the Hood River community, and whereas over 550 copies of the Highest Tide will be distributed so that it can be read and discussed at multiple venues throughout the county, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Cascade Locks establishes March 7th to April 19th as Hood River County Reads, adopted this 10th day of February 2020.
I think you should throw in your catchphrase for Cascade Locks to finish
Cascade-
out all that.
Cascade Locks, where the Bridge of the Gods spans the heart of the gorge, where mountain, wind, and water creates the best sailing in the Northwest, and where CL on the license plate stands for Cascade Locks, the second largest city in Hood River County.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. You did a lot better than I would have done that. Glasses are no glasses anyway, so.
Thank you for reading it for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry I had to read it to you.
Could I make one comment that this has
You
nothing
may.
to do with the Reads? I want to thank you for having Girl Scouts in Cascade Locks.
Oh, that's
I
our
want you
pleasure.
to know, it's kind of one of my past things, but when I first moved here, my daughter was a 7-year-old. She's now 59. But there were no Girl Scouts in Hood River County. It was all campfire. And here was my daughter, wanting to do something, and nobody came around. They were second graders, nobody came around. So I said, well, I was a Girl Scout. I grew up being a Girl Scout, so I got a hold of the Girl Scouts in Portland, and I was the first chairman of the Girl Scouts in Hood River County. In 1968.
Congratulations.
So
Well, that's
Well,
I
thanks
just
for
love to see
serving.
that it's, continue to grow, and that's it's great. They're both great programs. And really, the campfire ladies were mad at me. They were like, whoa, this is the campfire. This is a campfire town. I said, well, you didn't come around. You didn't make yourself known. I was a newcomer. How was I supposed to know? So, went from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention to our Hood River Reads.
Okay. The audit presentation.
Honorable Mayor and City Council members, my name is Tanya Moffett, and I am the partner with Marina and Company on the City of Cascade Locks' audit. I'm here to present the June 30, 2019 financial statements, and as you may notice, there's actually two documents in front of you. One thing that is a little bit different is the City of Cascade Locks has a single audit, which means that anytime that you spend over $750,000 of federal funds, you get this special extra audit, which is great because that means you got federal funding. So we did an audit on the single audit, which we typically look at compliance-related issues to ensure that the city's in compliance. We had no findings on the single audit, so I'm happy to report that, which is sometimes difficult with entities that aren't used to receiving this large of federal funding on a typical annual basis. There's other entities that get it all the time, so that's great to show that your team that's working for you is doing a good job at making sure that they're in compliance with the federal regulations and the federal rules. Because anytime you get federal funds, there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through and a lot of things you have to do. So I'm happy to report that we didn't find any compliance issues when doing that audit. For the city's financial statement audit, we had an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. That's the highest level of a financial statement opinion you give on an audit. When we came out to do the audit, we had full access to anything that we asked for. Sometimes we like to venture out of the finance world and go and talk to other departments as well and other individuals, and everybody was cooperative and let us have the records that we needed to have to be able to finish the audit. I do want to point out one report that's at the very back of the financial statements. It starts on page 87. This is the independent auditor's report on compliance with Oregon minimum standards. The Oregon State Legislature has municipal auditors look at some very specific things to ensure that the city's in compliance. So for example, ORS 279, which is public purchasing laws and regulations, we look to ensure that if the city does any large projects, that it's going out for bid so that everybody has an equal opportunity to bid on those projects and has an opportunity to get that potential work. So we look to make sure that it's been published in the newspaper, that everybody had an equal opportunity. We also look at like gas tax funds to make sure that those are spent appropriately. We look to ensure that the city's cash and investments are in the appropriate investments that the state requires them to be in to make sure that the city's funds are safeguarded. So I'm happy to report we had two minor issues. They're at the bottom of 87. We had expenditures in excess of appropriation for the general fund, museum, materials and services of $117. That's very common because a lot of times what happens, bills come in after June 30, and unfortunately with the Oregon budget law, you have to make the decision and know about it ahead of time in order to be able to make a change. And then the other one was the state tax street fund for transfers out of $15,294. And so there were just two minor issues that we found when we were doing our compliance testing. Everything else, we didn't have any issues that we found. So those were the only two minor things. And like I said, it's common to have small, minor budget violations when we are going through and doing the testing. Does anybody have any questions on the financial statement, on what we do as auditors, on our firm, anything that I can answer?
Could you tell if the transfer that you just talked about in the street fund, was that also a timing issue, or did your firm even get into what had happened?
You know, I don't recall off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to remember too. I think it was a cost overrun on a project.
And then just had to transfer the funds to that project.
We didn't know the cost was going to do it. When we do our normal budget adjustment resolution in June, we didn't know it was coming in. I think that's what it was, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologize.
Thank you.
But it was expended on the streets is what it was.
Bruce, did you have any questions?
No, Your Honor, not at this time. Thank you.
Well, and I left business cards for all of you. We're available to answer questions throughout the year. As a matter of fact, we like to answer them throughout the year versus having a whole bunch at the end of the audit. We're here to work for you and for the citizens of Cascade Locks. We don't work for, I apologize, but we don't work for the city. We don't work for the city's employees. We work for you. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to give us a call and ask questions.
For the first time since I've been here, since Mary Ann been here, we filed the audit report on time.
Prior to December 31st.
It was the last day of the year, but it was filed on time. So usually we're in March or April.
The audit report date's December 30th, so one day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
24 hours late, sorry.
I didn't get it until the 31st.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure working for all of you. If you ever have questions, please feel free to give us a call.
Well, and I thank you. You provide a lot of information here too, so and it makes it even though I'm not an accountant, it makes it somewhat easy for me to figure out what's going on. I appreciate that.
Government financial statements are very fun to try to interpret if you don't live in them day in, day out, so.
Well said.
Thank you, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, ODOT presentation.
We have with us tonight Richard Garrison and Kayla Jackson from ODOT Region 1 office to talk to you about Winterbottom.
The most recent handouts that you'd like one. All right, thank you so much for having us. My name is Caitlin Jackson. I'm with ODOT Region 1 Community Affairs. And you have a lot on your agenda, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. But if you have questions or things you want to talk about that I don't cover, please let me know and I'm happy to answer those for you. So we are here to talk to you about a project that we have coming up on Wanapah Street, where we're repaving the road, installing new sidewalk curb ramps, and restriping the road and marking 6 marked crosswalks. So what we'd like to talk to you tonight is the schedule. We are planning to begin construction in the spring. This is a little behind our initial timeline. Luke Gordon's briefed you on this. We wanted to make sure that we were taking extra time in design to make sure we got it right and designed before we start breaking ground and doing construction. So we are planning to begin sidewalk curb ramp work in the spring and then complete that work throughout spring and summer and then pave in the fall. So it's a little different timeline than we discussed with you previously, but our hopes are that we spent the time in the right place so that we can get in, do the construction in a timely manner, and complete it as soon as we can. So on that note, we have 2 things that we would like to ask of the council tonight. And these 2 things will help expedite construction, give the contractor as much time as possible to get to work, and minimize the impacts to what we know is a very busy summer season for the community. So the first thing that we're requesting is to work weekends, including traffic control, up until Memorial Day. The second thing that we are requesting is to extend the noise variance to allow us to work until 10 p.m. Throughout the project duration. Those are the 2 items that we're requesting your feedback on.
So, anybody have any feedback?
Yeah, a couple things.
So you're looking at weekends, or you're looking up till 10 p.m.? So if you have a question about either one of those, bring it up now.
Well, the weekends, this project has already been moved back, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we were gonna be completed, the first completion was supposed to be spring. Now we're gonna start in spring. The downtown businesses, when we recently had our water repair, it affected them very negatively, most downtown business.
I work at the ale house. It was pretty bad.
And so,
Brenda has the ice cream shop across its week. When I
Fish
hear
market.
weekends, I'm like,
yeah, that's, the weekends
yeah.
is really bad for our businesses downtown. I personally don't have any heartache with the 10 o'clock noise variance, but I don't live in the areas that are gonna be affected, so, I would think we would have to, you would have to do a lot of outreach to the folks that live, Tommy lives along there, and we have 2 motels along there. And so I think noise could negatively affect those folks.
So just so you make sure we understand, we're going to be doing 2 intersections at a time, one side of 2 intersections at a time. So it's not like it's the whole length of the whole thing.
Correct. Yeah.
It's segmented. They'll get those finished. They'll move on to the next 2. They'll that's, so that the noise is gonna be limited to that one block or 2 block area. Go ahead.
Well, so could we look at it as from Wasco to Aniano, saying we try to do that during the week and save from beyond Aniano out to Forest Lane
So,
for weekend type stuff?
excuse me, Mayor. We, in discussion with Gordon, are planning to do which I always struggle with how to orient myself on the street, but the section closest to Bridge of the Gods, to focus our work there first, in effort to get it done as early as possible
What
before the
we're going
summer
to attempt to
rush.
do is to do the east end of town, or the west end of town, where most of the businesses are. We're going to do our best to get that done before Memorial Day week. And another thing, maybe a compromise we could do is on the weekends. If we're allowed to work weekends, maybe instead of going to 10 o'clock on the weekends, if you let us go for the normal time, 7 p.m., then the noise on the weekend may not be a big issue for the motels there.
Your Honor, I don't favor working on weekends at all. Let me tell you that I think if you ask the businesses downtown, the folks that have business in Cascade Locks basically have 90 days to make the year. And so anything that happens in that area, whether it affect parking or pedestrian or anything else, shrinks that 90 days. And so, some of our businesses are struggling still, even though the economy's improving. So if you've been in Cascade Locks on the weekends in the summertime, it's really busy.
And that's why we're only asking for the weekends until Memorial Day. Understand?
Well, our season starts before Memorial Day. I mean, once the weather starts getting better. I mean, we've had good days already. So I just don't favor weekend work.
Since we have a business owner, can we ask Brenda's opinion on it? Is that okay?
How about weekend work till the tourists start picking?
Well,
You gotta
That
have,
can't be
you gotta pick a-
predicted, yeah. There's just no way knowing. Because like right now, I mean, everybody knows the weekends are dead, and how long are they gonna be dead to? And typically, maybe in March or so is when it starts picking up. Because we're gonna have more inclement weather before then.
right, but they're not getting any, the bids aren't even open until April,
Right.
or notice to proceed is in April.
Okay.
So we would have just April and May to get as much done as we can, working 7 days a week as fast as they can. And then the rest would be after Memorial Day. Brenda, do you have a comment on, you're not gonna be that impacted because there's not anything in front of you.
There is a crosswalk.
Yeah,
They already did the thing, the ramp there.
it's gotta be redone, but yeah.
For my business, I'm already seeing an increase. It totally is weather dependent. You know, if it's sunshine out here, people tend to come. I stay closed 2 days a week until Memorial Day weekend, and then that's whenever I kick it up to 7 days. Because until spring break, and all that, that's when you see the increases around spring break. But this year, I've definitely noticed an increase a little bit early with past 2 weekends. I'm seeing it.
Yeah, so the argument is, do you take those 8 weekends or 16 days and tack it on into June and July, and when it's really the tourist season, we're still in the street? Or do you do those 8 weekends before the crowds really come in the 90 days? That's the conundrum we have.
Yeah.
What was if we could have kept to the original schedule,
It would have
been much.
It would have been done by Memorial Day.
Yeah. So,
And we apologize for that. these sidewalk ramp projects have become complicated. And we did take the time, we wanted to minimize impacts to the city's utilities. We did some redesign to avoid relocation of the electrical vaults. There's a lot of coordination with 3 adjacent projects that you've got going on. And we've been working to try and minimize impacts to the property owners. We understand the impacts to the outhouse are fairly significant, and we're going to take steps to keep that to a minimum. Unfortunately, the front door is right there at the sidewalk. But we're going to require the contractor to work around the day that you're closed. I understand that it's Tuesday. And he's going to have to maintain while you're open access to that front door.
Because you guys are doing something right in front of there. I've overheard of, I think I've seen you guys over there.
Yes, there'll be a new curb ramp.
So anyway, those things have taken time, longer than we anticipated. I would have loved to have gotten this done earlier. Another thing too is some of this work is going to require some drainage change. We have to put in a couple inlets, some pipes, so trenching in the middle of winter probably wouldn't have been ideal anyway.
So,
Well, I would say probably the biggest impact on businesses is going to be in the regulator street area. And to me, make that a priority is the first thing you do while things are at least halfway slow, and try to nail that one. I think everything after that, everything down that area is still important, but that one is, I think that one impacts the most businesses in that area.
the scope of this is only the ADA ramps. We're not doing any paving, we're not doing crosswalks, we're not doing anything. It's just ADA ramps. So, but that's a good suggestion, is to start with regulator first.
Right.
And then go back to the west and move east through the project. But, those 16 days would be critical. I mean, right now we're planning to go to July. It would be through July if we don't work weekends.
Yeah, you could, like Tom's, I think, I hear Tom saying it's prioritize, number 1, regulator. Number 2, we could do Aniana. And number 3, like Wasco by the Western or something. You could pick any of those. And I think you'd have to sit down
And I would suggest that if you need to work on a weekend, go after those. If you need to work on a weekend, you work out here.
Yeah, School Street.
Yeah, school to the east. Until you got that done, and you're forced to come down here. But by then you may have this. I think if you get a couple of those key ones down there earlier. Regulator is the one that's got the most things going on around it. So if that could be the priority of getting it knocked out, I think that would alleviate a lot of.
And that's how we're setting it up. We're telling the contractor he's got to concentrate on the regulator. We went about some businesses all the way through there. We need to be careful. Not to dictate it to them too much, because that could slow them down too. I would like to propose that we keep it between regulator and toll house. Put the pressure on them to get that section done before Memorial Day.
Yeah, I know. On the because you got both sides.
Yep.
Of the street there too, and on Anna too, right?
Right.
Coming up to into the station and into the east wind area.
Like what I said earlier, there'll be relatively small sections they'll be working in.
Yeah, and I get that. All I'm asking is to be able to have. I assume that the contractor is going to create a relationship with Gordon and our public works people. So I think if we trust that relationship of them being able to work it out, Gordon knows he knows what we need to do here, and when we do it, as long as in this we have a relationship between our leadership and the contractor.
That's what we want to see. There's some city utilities that are going to have to be adjusted.
Yep.
We're gonna coordinate closely. Gordon has agreed to attend, or have somebody attend a construction.
Gordon gets what we need to get done here, now we need to get done. I think if we develop that relationship and keep that open, I think we can work our way through this thing. Bruce, you got anything you want to say?
I just think, the more leeway we allow them, as long as they're off to get done by Memorial Day, the better off we are. I mean, as long as they're gonna work to make accesses to our businesses as they're needed and understand that people gotta flow in and out, I think we should give them as much time to get done by Memorial Day as possible. I mean, instead of having the process drag on through. I like to see them in and out quick as they can. And if it takes some weekends and to do that in some longer hours, it's whatever it takes.
So how are we? Are we good with allowing, Gordon understands where we're coming from here, I think. And if he doesn't, you know where he's at. Let him work with them and do what we need to do to get it done.
Basically, no matter how you do it, there's gonna be some pain, so.
Yeah, Gordon, have you received a preliminary set of plans?
Yes,
or-
it's on my desk.
Okay, thank you.
It's 110 pages.
So how are we?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Between a rock and a hard place, basically.
Well, but we
Unless we
weren't there.
just can the whole thing and put it off. The only alternative to what everybody's saying.
So it's pretty obvious, it appears obvious that if we don't try to go down this road a little bit, it's gonna extend it. And we are gonna be getting into the meat of summer.
Well, yeah, and if you do try to put these off,
The costs go up.
yeah, that money, you don't know what's gonna happen to it, to be honest. They might pick something that, it's a more of a, on whoever's list to
But
hire
we're
for.
pretty lucky that this money is funded from the state legislature. It was included in the 2017 transportation bill, $750,000. So it's ours. They aren't taking it away from us. Sorry, I made sure of that.
So are we good with that?
The legislature, more power.
We good with that? Are you good with, you sound like you're good with that, Bruce. You want to get them moved ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's get them in there and get them out.
A relationship, understanding, he understands where we're coming from and just develop a relationship between the contractor, you folks, contractor and Gordon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. This is really gonna be nice. We appreciate this.
And we'll try and make this as painless as possible.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Because I just want to push in one more time that Bob is correct. That the chance for our businesses to make money is really narrow, and it's tough if they get,
And that's
the
why.
fire really put them behind, and they're still catching up from that. Yeah.
What we're thinking is that try and get as much done around the business cluster by Memorial Day, and then later be at the other end of town.
Thank you.
And during construction, I'm the contact for your businesses. My information is on that handout. I'll be talking to your businesses.
Good.
So I am your contact. If there are problems, if there's something that a door isn't left open as it should be, anyone can reach out to me and I can work with a team. So you're not alone in this. I'm still here for you during construction.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right.
Good night.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Caitlin.
So, Gorge Net, where are they?
Mr. Bub is not here, so
Apparently.
I told you to get him
You don't know why he's not here.
I do not know. But
He may have thought our meetings.
no, he
we're going to
requested the meeting. So
Okay.
Maybe he doesn't have the answers.
Do you have any,
He was gonna come and talk about the difficulties we've had with Gorge Management the last month
Yeah.
in maintaining the quality of their service,
How they
and he was gonna come and talk about that.
organization operates.
Apparently, he doesn't have the answers he wants.
I'm not on Gorge Gun, I don't think, so.
It's
So
been
you're telling me
spotty.
we're having problems?
It's been spotty. The internet's been going in and out on GorgeNet. That's what he was gonna come and try and answer those questions.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay,
Here we
You're
go.
up, sir.
Just an update on the wastewater issues. Our engineer sat down with the pump manufacturers that we're gonna put on the case. We thought it was gonna be like 24,000. It's gonna be $32,400.
what else is new?
Yeah, exactly. But the cost for the rebuild on the one pump is only 4,400 instead of 6,000. So we saved a little money there. The issue that the engineer has asked us to do is to order another impeller, because that's the parts that are failing on the pumps. It takes a 12-week lead time. So if one of those pumps goes down and we're trying to pump with a pump on a trailer instead of what the impeller is, that's 12 weeks. And the engineer is saying, order the impeller, get one in place so that if it does go down, you can fix it in less than a week and go forward. So with your permission, that's what we're gonna do. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm good. Are we good with that? You good with that, Bruce?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
hopefully that will take us until we rebuild the whole marine park lift station, which as part of our wastewater project. So that's number one. Number two, the new truck's online and working well. We didn't have to use it too long in the snow. But the old 2001 Dodge Ram that we were hoping to last until the next year to replace needs a new front end. It's gonna cost $3,200. And that's over my limit. So I need your permission to repair that truck rather than buy a new one.
Is it a four-wheel drive?
It is not.
I don't know, to me, the 2001 pickup that has gone through this kind of service, it'd be hard for me to spend $3,200 to fix it.
True, but we didn't budget $60,000 for a new one. And
Well, why don't we?
It won't last until we get it, until the next fiscal year either.
And we need it.
We need it. Sheldon said they need it.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to spend the $3,200, and then I don't think we ought to budget another truck for next fiscal year, but in 2021, 22, we'll have to replace it.
But that is where you're stuck with in a small community with small budgets.
Well, I get that, but
Yeah, okay.
how long is the truck gonna be down during repairs?
I don't have an estimate on the quote.
How many trucks do we have? How many, does, Public Works have?
Yes, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah, I don't know which ones they use.
This isn't the one that we bought the new one to replace, is it?
No, it is not. But it is sitting over in Hood River at the repair shop, just sitting there waiting for the answer.
So, are we good with that? Anything you want to bring up on that, Bruce?
Well, I am with Bobby. It seems like we're throwing away some good money, but it doesn't seem like we've got a lot of choice, especially if we're going to try to make it last 2 years. So, yes, I think we probably better repair it.
And this money will come out of what was left over from buying the new truck?
That's correct. It's within the budget allowance that we had for the new truck, so it's set aside for vehicle replacement.
So what is that truck used for? I assume each
That's-
truck has a little bit different,
Yeah, that's for the daily getting around. You know, it was the plow truck, but it's not going to be used as the plow truck anymore. But it's just parts and equipment, picking up the garbage cans up and down the street. You know,
does it carry, is it used as it's not used as a plow anymore or as a hauling
right,
sand and gravel or anything like that?
right. No, it's not a dump truck, it's just a pickup.
It's a lighter weight,
Right.
lighter use type of truck.
That's correct.
So, are we good?
You have the money from the purchase of the new trucks, no? We're not having to.
There's no budget adjustment.
Right, we had X amount budgeted for the new truck, we have X amount left over. Guess we really don't have an option, do we?
You good, Richard?
I am.
Jules, you good?
Seems like a waste of money.
I don't know.
I mean, how much is it worth?
If it's a
Oh, probably not
two-wheel
much.
drive,
It's not worth much, but
Yeah.
it's the replacement cost you
I
have to
have
look
an
at.
old one truck I just put $5,000 to, and it was big. When you compare that with the cost of replacing it, and if you take in consideration the wear and tear that's left on the truck, if you do all that, then you can determine whether or not it's worth it.
But you're looking at a new truck, it's gonna be $45,000-$50,000. We just don't have it.
Probably has a little miles on it.
Sarah, you got anything you want to say on it?
Yeah, just, I guess like Donna said, if it's not coming out of any extra cost, it's gonna cover it, but it's just, yeah, are they, and that's what my question was too, how many trucks do they got? I was just like,
Do they really need it? I mean, is it like,
Yeah. You don't wanna use your big equipment more than you have to, because that's the really expensive stuff to.
they're still using it. They're still using it. They're backing into stuff. You know, hey,
I don't know that they've backed into anything recent.
okay, they ran into it front-wise then, however it got done. Come on.
They got it.
Come on.
The new truck?
You got, I don't know if it was the new one. Okay, you got 3 people working in that department, you got 4 trucks. Come on. Do we need, we must be a ghost driving that one. I'm just saying,
I hear you.
we do, yeah, you know,
We gotta milk it one more year.
yeah.
Thank you.
And your question is whether it's needed at all, but it sounds like they, a number of trucks are set up in a number of ways to
I know.
do,
I know.
yeah. Okay, all right, we good.
Thank you.
We need a new one to set though, it has a plow on it.
We'll take the plow off here shortly. Retaining wall collapse. We put the fence back in place where it was. It cost about $2,900. The engineer is working on rebuilding, how to rebuild the replacement wall. Only this time do it correctly. And I will bring you that information when we have it. For those of you who didn't know, we had a train truck collision this morning out on Herman Creek Lane. A tractor trailer rig hauling sawdust high-centered. They were trying to get it off the tracks and trying to contact people to come help move it, trying to contact the railroad. The train, eastbound train, came around the corner, applied the brakes, hit the truck, sawdust flew everywhere, nobody was hurt. And they're repairing the crossing arm, the east crossing arm still at this point. And they're picking up the sawdust and moving it back to Bear Mountain. And
Is the liability with the railroad?
the liability is with the railroad because they're responsible for maintaining their at-grade crossings. The problem is that at-grade crossing is a private crossing.
Yeah.
We have the money set aside, half the money set aside to change the profile so it matches federal railway standards. as close as we can with the distances that are involved, but that's in the next fiscal year budget. It's not, we're gonna do this small city allotment, we're gonna do forest lane paving first, and then we're gonna do the Herman Creek Lane upgrade. It's estimated to be $170,000 to $200,000, and we only have 100. We normally take about $50,000 out of our street funds, so we have a gap of $20,000 to $50,000. I did contact the railroad today, asking them if they have any, if their insurance company would like to lower the liability by putting some monies toward this project. We'll see what happens.
Good luck with that.
Yes, good luck with that.
Well, so this is, we're shouldering the cost of this thing?
We're shouldering we were going to repair it, yes, we have to, in order to make it a public crossing, we have to make it match the FRA, Federal Railroad Administration
Oh, and we were
profile.
putting money away to do that anyway.
Yes, we were, and because that's the next step
You're
in the
saying it's
quiet
tore
zone.
up, let's do that now.
It's not tore up. The crossing arm is torn up, and they're replacing that. But the problem is the profile where it comes up the grade,
Yeah.
goes across the tracks and down. It used to work very well for us, but then they came through a couple years ago and elevated the tracks and did the grade, which made them high center. And when we complained about that, they came in and they changed the slope profiles to get up to it. And most of the trucks, in fact, all of the trucks that SML used, were able then to get over the track without high centering. This was a new truck, new trailer, I guess. Not a new trailer, but a used trailer. And it got high centered and stuck.
Yeah.
So we're just glad nobody was hurt.
Yeah.
So that was the excitement this morning. EMS activity, we had 35 calls in January, a little more than one a day. Hood River responded to one, and Skamania EMS responded to one. We covered 33 out of the 35.
It's good.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
And we've gotten more volunteers signed up. We've got our fourth paramedic, or 2 paramedics, 2 EMTs full-time. So we're moving well. Public Works put the corrosion control online, and I don't think you've tasted it, but there's now soda ash in water to reduce the corrosive effect. They did some meter replacements. They worked hard on the Marine Park lift station. They started their inventory, and we're still working on the telecommunications process between the lift stations and the treatment plant. Electrical projects, we talked TIB out of trying to move the transformer. They wanted to move it and put it in a different place, but their electrical contractor was not in favor of that, or were we. We have it placed. It's where it's supposed to be. That took a lot to interface with them. And we had several power outages. We had one power outage, not in January, but on Saturday. The dead trees along Benson Park that we always worry about falling over to take our lines down. Well, in Benson Park are the live trees, and a little beaver had chewed all the way around the base of this tree, about like this. The wind blew on Saturday morning at about 3:30, and the tree went down and took out all 3 power lines that were there. We showed up, we isolated it. Multiple Falls was out. We were able to get them back on, but everything east of or west of Multnomah Falls to Bridal Veil was out until about 11:30 Saturday morning. So it was about a 4-hour outage, or 4-hour work, and we had to call in a contractor to come in and repair that for us. But that was one power outage we had. And why would a healthy tree fall besides being girded by a beaver? In 2019, we had 48 inches of rain. In January alone, we had over 24 inches of rain, 50% of what we had last year total. And so far this year, we've had 4 inches of rain. So we're looking at 28 inches of rain. We only had 48 inches all last year. The ground's saturated. Wind blows, things follow. Again, the Tourism Committee, Cameron LaFleur has been named the chairman. He brings some new energy and some professionalism to the committee. He's a retired soccer player, so he's got some energies. Watch us on YouTube and like us on Facebook. Thank you.
Do you have any questions there, Bruce?
Not about, the city administrator's report, no.
Okay. So, we're, mayor and city council comments. So Bruce, you get to start there.
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to the staff. That's like, one of the finest, audits I think we've had since I've had the pleasure of sitting on this council. And it's really good seeing the amount of calls that we're covering for the EMS, and I'm just proud of the work they're doing down there. And I thought I had more, but that's what happens at my age. It slips away once in a while. So thank you very much, and I return the floor.
Sarah?
Let's see. Well, you know, in Eastern Oregon, they had a big flood, and my family was really affected by that, and it was scary. And like we had been talking about safety issues around here, and I think that would be something that we still need to look into as far as making sure everybody's accounted for in those situations. I think that would be something really important for us, even though, well, right now will probably be rock slides and power outages and stuff for us. And I'm happy about the audit also. I had a question about this Gorge Brew restaurant pub I keep reading about. What is...
Ravenwood Development is bringing in a new restaurant to begin with the capacity to expand into microbrewery like Thunder Island for gorgeous beer. To begin with, they will be brewing their beer in Portland and bringing it out to sell here at their restaurant. 3-story open deck on the top floor, so you get the views over the river.
So that's, what's the timeline for this one?
Well, they actually had their building permit first before TIB, but they have not yet broken ground. So I would say it's a year away. But they just resubmitted their plans, and it's been reviewed by our engineers, and everything is good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Other than that, I think I'm good.
Had a couple of things. Glad that Gene Harmon came in to talk about the book. I was going to order on Amazon, but maybe I'll borrow it here.
It's right over here.
So I'm just really excited about that. I've read a little bit of the intro and stuff. I was glad to hear from ODOT to get a little more clarification of what's going on. I really hope they'll work with the businesses. I'm sure they will. Nice to hear about the Girl Scouts. Make sure you let the station captain know he's got a daughter who wants to do Girl Scouts. I talked to him about it today. So I asked if she was in Girl Scouts, and he said not yet. So I don't think. So that's cool. I noticed the property. What would you call the property behind your house? The big empty place.
The 114 Hammond.
Well, so have you seen? It looks like they have been cleaning up, or somebody has been cleaning up.
The people have been evicted. They've started cleanup.
I saw a big dumpster. It looks like it's full.
Yes.
Some of them have. It looks like sort of migrated throughout town.
We are trying to track that.
I got some pictures for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's frustrating. They're being really good at moving it a lot. So, but
You're tracking what?
The people who were
Evicted? Okay, that was good, my question. Okay.
there's just, I mean, it's been sitting like in front of the fire hall and down the street, and it's starting to migrate up towards some trailheads. So, yeah. Anyway, but it's good to see it's starting to get cleaned up.
The owner that bought the property is working with ODOT on the access, and they're going to put in 2 or 3 homes on that, 2 parcels.
I wanted to say thank you to staff for the glowing audit report. I also don't recall one with this kind of good report. We've always had good reports, but I think this year is especially good. Thank you, staff, for that. I want to thank Fire Captain. He's got a lot of new energy, and it really is showing. For us to be able to do all the calls in a month except 2, that's an excellent record, and I'm very happy with that. I would hope that we continue to improve the EMS department. You know, a lot of activity going around. The container homes look like they're in. Thunder Island is still getting through their process. That's a large building, and it's going to be quite a presence on Main Street. The new building out on the Port Industrial Park, that's a beautiful building. I just drove by it, checked it out the other day. It's a very welcome addition. So lots happening. I hope that this crossing improvement goes well. I think it's going to be one of those projects where we're going to have to keep an eye on it, or otherwise I think it could drag out. So
You're retired, you want to be our senior representative?
no, but no. That's all I have.
Richard?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the staff also for their work on the audit, and I want to thank the staff and all the budget committee members ahead of time for all their involvement, past and present, in helping the city. And again, I want to thank Gordon for helping put, I believe, in my opinion, a more transparent process together, making it easier for people to see what's going on in the budget and understanding it better. And I appreciate that. I think this year will go even probably, hopefully, smoother than last year.
Don't go any further.
So, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Linda?
I think, didn't our audit last year have no problems? Yes, good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't filed on time.
Yeah, it was late.
But it had no problems, and this has 2. So last year was better than this year.
Thank you
But you did a great
for
job.
that reminder.
The staff did a great job. You always do. That's all I have.
So, a question on it, because I forgot to ask. The work, because we got the work orders done. Was there a comment from them?
No, there was
A thank you from them for having a work order system?
Yes, expressed, but not written in the audit. It was notable by its absence.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. That's what we've been trying, that's the first time it was off this thing for
Right, they've seen
lots
it
of
for
years. Yeah, for lots of years.
forever,
And I had a question, because I noticed it mentioned funds that they considered in fairly kind of tough shape potentially. Tourism, which I get that, because we've been spending a lot of money on a lot of things to it. But in electrical, it seems like our fund in electrical should be, because we've got more power coming in, we have fewer guys we're paying, that fund seems like it should be getting better.
Well, again, you have to understand that the revenues didn't start until after this fiscal year was over. So it wasn't reflected in by June or July 1st of 2019. The revenues started after that. So this next budget, I hope, will reflect that increased demonstrated revenue.
Okay.
But again,
That-
it ramped up, it was really in August and September were the first months when they got full power allocation and what they paid for.
Okay, so, that's one of the questions was the trailers, and as I understand it, I've been told that And I don't know whether we wanna head down that road. I know that you're trying to stay on top of everything that's going on as far as people moving around town. But I understand if you're on the state highway, there's an ORS, because I know the police, the state, everybody doesn't wanna mess with these guys. But there's an ORS, as I understand it, that goes, it is illegal to camp on and whether they're moving or not, it doesn't make any difference. The police know that you're camping there. And somewhere down the road here, if we start getting to that point, whether we can fine them for camping when they're not supposed to be camping.
We cannot.
Yeah, we can press the state, because it is more or less,
It
you can,
is enforced by ODOT.
right?
Their enforcement law is the state police. And if the state police choose to do nothing about it,
Sure. And I get that. And I get that, but I'm saying from our end of it, sometimes you gotta become the squeaky wheel. And if you press them, here is the ORS, gentlemen. This is what's going on here. This is not camping. And we insist that you fine them until they finally give up on this.
but.
Now, whether we're there yet or not, I don't know. But there's a lot of citizens, I'm sure, we are already there. But it appears we may have more showing up out here.
You are absolutely correct. You can fine them all you want. You can take them to court. They don't have the money. They'll never pay you. They won't move. They
Well,
will
eventually
move.
you get it from them and you take it to.
Well, what happens is they move into the state parks where they can stay for 2 weeks without a reservation. And so they just move from state park to state park to state park, which destroys our state parks. And so I understand completely.
Our citizens are gonna go,
Yeah.
let the state parks deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because our calls, what do we do for our citizens? And they're expecting you do what you gotta do. If they don't wanna do anything about it, that's their call. But us doing something about it, that's our call. So I don't know if we're there yet, but I'm believing that we're heading more and more, because I think people are feeling, people are feeling that they're potentially not only being there, but there's other activity that comes from that is detrimental to our citizens. And so they want, they're gonna press us, as they should, and so it's our job to press whomever we have to press to get this correct. And especially if we have a hammer. I mean, you're always looking for a hammer. If you don't have the hammer, yeah, you're stuck. But if there's an ORS that says this isn't gonna happen, or if there's a city ordinance that says this isn't gonna happen, that becomes a hammer. You use that hammer however, you don't bring it to an officer, you bring it to a judge. And then a judge, I guarantee you, will ask the officer to not back off from that. So anyway, I'm just saying.
I appreciate the reminder, but.
Yeah, and I know you're trying to stay on top of it as best you can, but more and more people are becoming more and more frustrated with the whole thing, so. And frankly, that's our job to, somewhere down here, the road, correct. If something is beyond what it should be, it's up for us to correct it, if we can. Anyway, so I just brought that up. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is, I've asked about it before, but I'm gonna bring it up again here. I just talked about it before, but, because when you see something on the news, you go, oh, okay, well, how does that apply to us? And so ransomware applies to us. And apparently it's becoming more prolific. And so my thing is, I just want to be able to say, we know there's potential for it. We know it can come our way.
That's correct.
Obviously hit Tillamook, and Tillamook had lots of people that still knew how to use a piece of paper and a pen and a pencil. And it seems like that got them over the top. So my question would be that we're looking at this. We're asking questions of our IT people.
What we do. We have an IT gentleman that we contract with, Dave Cunningham, who comes in and provides us with all of the security and issues and reviews it on a weekly basis. That's the first thing we've done. The second thing we've done is we've upped our coverage with CIS insurance for cybersecurity. We did that in the last insurance renewal, so that we have, I think it's $250,000 coverage. Should we be in that kind of situation? But we have filters, we have firewalls, we have everything we can think of to protect our IT.
So, and I get that, and everybody has that, frankly.
Well,
And some have a lot more than we do. But what they're telling me is, and what they're saying tonight is the experts are saying, these people are getting better and better and better, and all you gotta do is tap the wrong thing. One employee taps the wrong text message, and they've got you. Thing right there. So my thing is, where I want us to at least look at, what do we do if they get us? That's all I'm asking, because people who they've gotten, I want to have some kind of a backup of how we do it paper-wise. Because we still got people around that would be very good with all that. So I'm just saying, if this goes down, because I'm not interested, I don't care if I got insurance behind me. I want to keep operating. The citizens want us to keep operating. I don't want to just sit there on my hands and go, well, our computer's down, now we can't do nothing. No, this is what we're going to jump to. Because this is the potential, this is what I want. So I like to get something back on what we're going to do, besides just call the insurance company and say, hey, we lost this kind of money now. Buy us new computers and we'll start all over again. Whether it's, whether it's hard drive backups to that that's somewhere else, or there's a paper trail. There's a paper trail that we learned to do. I want the city to keep operating if it happens to.
We back up every night. We have offsite backup. So we have all of the records. If we go down, we can go back and restore.
Okay.
We've been doing that for as long as I've been here. And again, we've got the cybersecurity that's trying to do the filters. We review with our employees, and probably not often enough, don't open anything that looks strange.
And that's one of the things they say to do, so I'm glad you're doing that.
Yes. I haven't had Mary Ann come into my office lately and say, look at that thing. What should I do with that? Anything suspicious, we send it to Mr. Cunningham and he review it, make sure before we open it, kind of stuff. I think we could work on paper. It would be difficult we would catch up eventually, but we do have restore points. We do have the ability to go back and every day recreate what we need to do. So we could still operate with paper, depending upon how long we're down, determine how quickly we recover. But we're trying to do everything to do it right, so that we are not a victim.
Okay, well, whenever it comes up, I'm gonna pray. Unfortunately, we are stuck in that's what there's the Equinix or whoever it is that tracks your credit score, the credit outfit. They're saying they got hit in 2017, and they're talking about right now what that hit. They talked about a little bit in 17, but they're talking again what that hit's about and who did it and that. But they say that they can keep this stuff, maybe for decades. They've got it. And they're deciding, they're making a decision when they use it on you, when they use all that.
Yeah.
So our problem is this is an ongoing it's a day-to-day battle you got to do, frankly, from here till forever.
That's correct.
For your community.
That's correct.
We're stuck with never having to be able to let down our guard, which, that's hard to do. Anyway, so I'm glad you're doing that, and all I would say is keep talking to your IT guy and whatever it is that we can do as a small town to protect our citizens from or even our city from being able to function, our departments being able to function. We should do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's it. So, other matters?
I have none.
Any executive session?
Want one? No. Glenda gives me the evil eye.
I got it.
Okay, I'm open for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Move to second adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Your Honor, we have about a half hour